So just a quick video because I did say yesterday I tried to just look at a couple of picks about what we're looking for this week. I didn't mention in my video yesterday, but obviously from a day trading perspective, because it's not something I do, I'm still kind of in a short swing trading, strategy and mindset. So my long-term thesis is still cautiously bullish. We don't really have enough information really to change that thesis yet, depending on the follow through that we get and the kind of bounce we get from there. So just initially pre-market, it looks like we're about to start, maybe roughly, there's quite a few hours to go to be fair, but maybe halfway up this candle. But we'll see as pre-market gets to its end and the market kind of opens. Because from obviously a bearish perspective, we could short-term, more day trading, I think, than short-term swing trading. If I were to do this, we could look on shorting the semiconductors, QQQ, and kind of XLK. That is clearly where the weakness is going to be. But we want to focus on where the strength might be. And when we're talking about yesterday and over the weekend, was very much looking at probably healthcare, industrials, and finance is probably where it's going to be. I've actually set most of my alerts. So what I'm really looking for these breakouts, so that's use BAC as an example. Good example of a stock breaking out. It's really nice. But what I'm a bit wary of, I suppose, is I kind of want to see a lot of this area back tested just a little bit. So if I look at financials just overall as a sector, this is a big candle, right? And we might keep going, but I think we just want to see some consolidation and some holding of some key areas across financials, especially the kind of where this blue line is here, really. So that's my kind of thought process a little bit for financials, looking into this week, not jumping into opportunities and kind of waiting for kind of healthy pullbacks and, opportunities to get in good positions. This would kind of more be, I suppose, breakout strategy rather than kind of a pullback into it. But we might see pullbacks, I think, to kind of these 15 and kind of 8 EMA that we kind of have here on the charts. That would be a good opportunity. So AXB is a good example of pulls back pretty regularly enough to those EMAs. And if we get in here, that would be a really nice trade, right? If we were to time that better. So being patient is important. Some pullback ones that I like, again, a lot that I've found I've set with alerts. So I've actually not included them in my list because sometimes it gets a bit overwhelming, keep looking at lists all the time. So I've set alerts, and that alert is basically looking at the LRSI, and I'm just looking for a stock to kind of start breaking above this kind of 20 line here. And it's more looking on the 2-hour time frame. So kind of reset it to kind of look. So if we use BAC as an example, I want BAC to kind of pull back a little bit, this kind of line to go back below 20, and then when it smashes above 0.2, which is kind of a nice pullback like this one, right? Little bit pullback, but as it goes over this and the nice green one, this is potentially an entry point for us, and then we can ride that the rest of the way. So trying not to rush into any positions and kind of setting alerts and not watching every single stock and looking to get in that way. MMM was actually a good pick. I probably should have chosen instead of the tech ones that I chose, because it did show actually good relative strength and even relative strength to its own sector. So XLI done pretty well, but it did kind of finish in the red, whereas something like MMM actually done okay. It's pulled back to the SMA and the AVWAP earnings. So I like that trade. I'm keeping an eye on that one. And there's other ones within those same 3 sectors that I mentioned. But again, kind of waiting for pullbacks for these. So I just need to reset some alerts on these ones. But I'm just wanting these to pull back to some EMAs and then bounce off. So more kind of breakout pieces for that. This one could be breaking out, held up pretty well. But I'm patient, right? I'm being really patient. I'm not rushing into any positions. Again, this one's breaking out because it's kind of held these EMAs quite nicely and the earnings quite nicely. and again in that healthcare sector. So just being really patient. We can see quite a few of these kind of picks. We saw LLY, which we went for. This one is in finances, but nice kind of bullish reversal, nice breakout here, and good strength overall. But again, being patient on those, not kind of rushing into them. So you can see LRSI triggered here, but I'm just waiting for another opportunity to get in those. And I appreciate I will lose some. I think we just have to accept that. We might lose some. This is actually the only tech one I've put in here. I'm going to mark it that it's tech because I don't really want to be aiming for that sector. But interestingly, Western Digital is looking pretty strong, which is interesting. And UNH, just keep an eye on that one for a slightly longer term swing. So no particular picks. MMM would probably be one that I really liked, and some other banking ones, maybe like PAC. But I think it's just being patient, not rushing into anything, and just I've set my alerts for reversals to kind of get into those good spots. So yeah, be patient is my kind of game plan this week. Don't rush into anything. There is news coming. Actually, I didn't think there was, but there is a little bit. Just some bits about inflation could be interesting. Job numbers are quite interesting. I was really looking at this kind of employment change pieces. And what's really interesting, right, is you can kind of see the overall trend of just job numbers have been declining, right? So the trend is what's kind of interesting me. And unemployment rate kind of similar. We look from 2023. This is obviously COVID-y, so it's a bit hard. But the trend is quite interesting, right, as it starts to kind of increase. So worth keeping an eye on these, but overall we're still in. I don't think we have enough to kind of switch us across to being bearish. So just being cautious, sticking to those strong sectors. That's the thesis this week, and that's the mindset of what I'm trying to do. Okay, thanks everyone.